Last week at Las Vegas Motor Speedway, we had one of the best battles we've seen all year long, with all three 2311 cars, among with Eli Bright and Logan Williams. But it was Jordan Stout getting his first win on the season and having 5 different winners in the first 5 races. But here tonight, it is one of two things. It is our second crown jewel race on the season for the Denny 7500, and it is also the kickoff to the in-season challenge presented by Advanced Auto Parts. 32 drivers will get narrowed down to 16 at the end of the night in head-to-head competition, and it is one of the longest races of the season here at the Darlington Raceway for the Denny 7500 for Season 7 of the JBL Cup Series. What's up, everyone? It's the boy on Racing 97, aka Nathan Stapleton here, and welcome to the famous Darlington Raceway underneath the lights here, and it is going to be a very fun night of action for a multitude of reasons. This is one of the longest races of the season, only behind the 600 later on in the season. And we got a new version here. We got a track where it's going to be multi-groove. Going to be a significant tire. That's the only thing that's still the same. The tire is still going to be 3 to 4 seconds at the end of the run. And the big unknown is this in-season challenge. 32 drivers are in the running of this challenge. And at the end of the night, that will be whittled down to 16 as we go to Martinsville. And it's something that, honestly, real life NASCAR did it last year, the JBL Cup Series with that Joe Ones, he ran it last year. And I think, why not? Let's add a twist. So, it's definitely going to be a lot of fun here, and definitely going to have a lot of stuff to talk about all night long for each of the 92 laps. And we got someone that, I know, was on pole for last year's Southern 500. We got Stuart Graham up here in the booth. Welcome to one of the crown jewel races of the JBL Cup Series.
Well, thanks for having me. Yeah, it's a fun track. We did the truck race on the call last year, and that was a great battle between the teammates at Spire Motorsports at the time, Alexander Rowe and Chris Jericho. So that was a lot of fun then, and we come back to the same Darlington with a couple of tweaks perhaps. 92 laps, of course. You mentioned the tyre wear is going to be the big thing, and so you've got to have a car that's able to manage the tyres as best as possible. So you look up at the front, it's no real surprise to see some of these, like the 24 Barto's on pole, Doug Ward second, the 10 of Campbell, with Corleg, up here. So Matthew Hubert, the reigning champions, up here. There are some really, really strong teams up towards the front. So not really unsurprised. But the good thing about this Darlington compared to what we ran last year, for example, and it's not like it wasn't like it was impossible to overtake last year in this race, but there are more opportunities here in this race on this version of Darlington. So we'll see how this race plays out. It got 92 laps. It's going to be a long one, but it should be a fun one.
Absolutely. 92 laps, about 32 to 38 laps on fuel and tires. That's going to be really interesting, because if you pit really early and then someone that we know is fast up front pits really late, we can see that driver just go through the field in that second one before the second round of pit stops. So we got to see what ends up happening. Probably will go caution free, maybe one caution at most. So you got to have a long run car here tonight. And of course, like I said, this is going to be more passing here, especially in 3 and 4, turn 1 as well. Turn 2, you want to try and get clear before turn 2. That's kind of where the inside lane does not really work. But 3 out of 4 corners, there's a high side and there's a inside lane. So it's definitely going to be a lot of fun. And what's also going to be fun is this instant challenge. At the end of these next 5 races, the finale at Kansas, the winning driver will earn $25, and the winning owner of said driver will earn $15. And the way that it all shook out was that the number 1 seed, number 1 driver in points, Jordan Edwards, will face number 32 seed, 32nd in points, BP Ruiz. And then, for example, Charles Crampton, 2nd in points, is going to face 31st in points, Bruno Diacomo, and it goes down from there. So Here's a quick rundown of the order of the tournament in round 1. And it will be on the screen right now. Jordan Edwards and BP Ruiz, they will have the orange banner here tonight. Matthew Split and Nicholas Amadeo will have a gold mango banner. Bright and Reem will have a yellow banner. Monaco and Stout will have a metallic gold. And Abel and Bucky Campbell will have red. Nick Lopez and Animal will have maroon. Troy Bow, Alposa, and Kyle Sussler will have bright green. Duncan Wood and Duncan Halverson, the battle of the Duncans, will have dark green. Coach Miller and Kenneth Miller will have cyan. Emily York Watson and Matthew Burnett will have blue. Alexander and Joe Wachowski will have dark blue / navy. Ronald Kennington and Logan Williams will have purple. Bryce Egan and Josh Neely will have violet. Harry Anderson Jr. and Logan Dorn will have pink. Anthony Hernandez and Zachary Fitzgerald will have olive green. And then Bruno Diacono and Travis Crampton will have gray banners. And this is something very unique. We've not seen in the series still. Head-to-head battles. How do you think that's going to shake up? Knowing that everyone wants to win this race, but if they can't win, they just have to focus on being that one driver at the end of the night.
It certainly adds another element. There's no doubt about it. It's not something that I've done personally across any series, so it'll be interesting to see. I mean, you mentioned obviously happened in the real life NASCAR Cup Series and the World Cup Series last year, and it created some very interesting outcomes, some crazy upsets that can happen along the way. But I think the ones I'm looking at, are guys like Hubert and Sam Adio, for example. Those guys are 16th and 17th in points. They're a bit further down than I would have imagined. Two guys that made the chase last year. One of those guys, those are two heavy hitters, and one of them's going home, for example. And then you've got some funny combinations. You've got Carson and Kenneth Miller going head to head. You've got the two Duncans going head to head. That will be a fun one as well. But there's another element to it. It may come into the drivers' minds throughout the race. So obviously the main goal for each of these drivers, they want to go and go out and win this race. But worst comes to worst, you just got to beat that certain other driver you're going up against in this in-season tournament, just to keep yourself alive.
Absolutely, another element, and what I see of that will all transpire into something crazy here tonight. But what's not crazy is Trey Barlow winning the pole for the Southern 500 for Matt Tutt's team of Hendrick Motorsports, and right behind him is Duncan Wood in second. Bucky Campbell will start third. Last year's champion, a slow start, Matthew Hubert in fourth. And then Juan Garcia, last in points, last in every single race this season. Besides Las Vegas, I think. My memory's a little bit fuzzy, but still a terrible season for Juan Garcia. He's not even in the in-season challenge, but he's trying to build some kind of momentum for the rest of the year. Got the 500 champ Emily York Watson up here in the 6th position. 7th is the 7,500 winner from 2 years ago of Nick Lopez, and then Jordan Stout, last week's winner at Las Vegas, in the 8th position. And then running out the top 10 is John Andrews and Zachary Fitzgerald. Gonna go through the rest of the starting order here on pit lane, and you'll see what color banner you are in and what these drivers will do here tonight. Alright, we have met the top 10 starters for the second longest race of the season, and now it's time to get race 1 of the in-season challenge underway. You will see everybody as they run each lap, starting on lap 2 or 3 in the top right of the screen. And Stuart, I'm going to leave it up to you. This is the second longest race of the season. It's very hard to win it, but who do you think will win the Denny Southern 500 for Season 7 of the JBL Cup Series?
Oh, we talked about how much of a high tire track, the tire wear track this is, and certain teams have built their programs around it. I look at guys up at the front, they built their programs around it, but there are guys in the mid pack as well. I've got a guy starting right in the middle of the field for front row, going to take the 38 that Hers for back in there. I think Logan Williams is going to find his way to victory lane in this one.
Not bad pit, starting kind of midway through the field, but with this version of Darlington, we saw it last night in the Krispy Kreme Series race. It's not impossible to work your way up through the middle to the front. Yeah, I see if Williams can get the job done. With 92 laps, we will have 2 pit stops here tonight. At least 2, depending on if we have cautions or not. And it would be Trey Barlow and Duncan Williams, 2 going on the front row for the 2026 Denny Southern 500. 92 laps, the second longest race on the calendar. Underneath the lights is going to be green for the Southern 500 for the JBL Cup Series. Great jump from Troy Barlow and a great one from Matthew Huber, and we will see this all night long. 3 and 4 is definitely the prime passing zone here tonight at Darlington, and then sometimes in turn 1. But what you don't want to do is get stuck on this inside lane in turn number 2. It doesn't have a lot of grip, and you will see it right there. Ned Lopez had an edge over his teammate Juan Garcia, but Garcia got one up top, and now Garcia's going to lose it to the 54. But right now, a great jump from Bucky Campbell. We've talked a lot about Bryce Egan, but we've not talked about the other rookie teammate of college racing of Bucky Campbell. But great job running in second way out on lap number 3.
Yeah, obviously put the car up towards the front of the field in qualifying, and when you qualify up the front, it certainly goes a long way. So, and I think these guys, colleague. I think they're one of these teams that really set up for a track like this where there's such high tyre wear. As you see, John Andrews on the move here. Juan Garcia, I want to mention as well, obviously he's had a really, really bad year so far. It must just be a relief for him to just be up in even 6th, given the year that he's had so far. It's been really, really tough for him. So he'll just be pleased to be up in contention. But, you mentioned, the National Series race that we did yesterday. This is a track that is very, very interesting in that, well, there you go, but point proven right there. Matthew Huber gets down to the inside, gets past Bucky Campbell for second. Unlike other versions of Darlington, where drivers can get stuck in behind everybody and there can be a bit of a, human centipede type thing, I don't know, like a conga line around the racetrack a little bit. It is easier to pass here at this version of Darlington than others. And turn 4, we just saw it there. Turns 3 and 4 is the primo place to make an overtake. So, but Hubert, he hasn't had a great year so far. He's part of a hodgepodge of drivers that are all around the same place. He's 17th points. The reigning champion for a reason, though. He looks pretty quick and trying to close down his teammate.
Absolutely, it's not been the best of starts for him at Motorsports. They've been consistent with the other 3, especially of course Jordan Edwards being on top of the point standings, but Trey Barlow's been consistent. He's had a couple of bad ones. Miller's starting to get better, and Huber, he's just been there. He's not been flashy, but it's not been terrible, but I think we're getting to the point of the season where he's going to be able to get to the speedway type racetracks and be really fast. And right when we talk about him, he is closing in to the back bumper of Troy Barlow. We got a couple battles back in here, but we might have a battle between Hubert and Barlow here, and Hubert's gonna get a great one for 3 and 4.
Yeah, nice move. And again, that's the spot where you want to try and make an overtake done through turn 4. You get a lot of grip on that inside down there, and that's what we saw in the National Series race. We'll see. He needs to clear now, and it looks like he will, because the high side's the preferred lane out at 2. And he will... he's clear of him, basically. So, no, not quite. Barlow's fighting it back, but Hubert should get this done. And then these guys battling, and here comes Duncan Ward. The more these guys battle in front, the more that the 8 can get an opportunity to close in on these guys. In fact, he's going to make the overtake right here. So, he's going to get around Trey Barlow and up into second. And he hasn't had the year, he's kind of bemoaning the year that he's had so far. But, looking good at the moment in that 8 car.
Absolutely. And of course, 2 weeks ago at Phoenix, last time you were in the booth, Stewart, for a JBL Cup Series race, Duncan was strong in the first 5 laps, and then he blew up on the caution. So he looks to have pace here tonight, and same with Juan Garcia. He was top 5, and he might even challenge for a top 3 spot. This is a gaggle of colors inside the top 4 here. Hubert gonna get a good one up top in 1 and 2. Same with Barlow, but a lot of colors right now are bunched up here. Really, the top 12 are all in the group here. Barlow and Wood trying to have a battle. Barlow trying the outside lane. The outside lane can't look if you have a good enough car for it. And you can also do what Bucky Campbell just did, kind of get a run off of turn 4 on the high side and challenge for a position on the inside in turn 1. Bucky Campbell having a great one, and we're going to talk so much about the NC Challenge for the next 5 races, but how about some of these guys that did not even make it that are kind of surprising? Mark Garcia, of course, and John Andrews too. Veterans in the series having a tough start to the season, but having a great one here early on.
Yeah, definitely. You just saw Trey Bartow. He just got back past Duncan Ward. So, these 2 Hendrick cars at the front are very, very fast. They look very sporty, of course. And, given who the team owner is, this is not surprising to me in the slightest. But, Duncan's still there. Bucky Campbell just got back around Garcia. You mentioned, Garcia and Andrews, obviously, 2 guys that have had, not in the in-season tournament challenge, and the years that they've had have been nothing short of terrible, as now Ward gets back to the inside. Good battle here between these 2, but again, I talked about it, it'd just be pleasing for them to be in this kind of position where they're running quite well, and if this thing stays green, then they might be able to get a top 10 out of it today. I don't know if they got the race winning pace, but they're off to a pretty good start. Keep an eye, by the way, on that 48 car back there, Andrew Miller, who was on the call, of course, for the National Series yesterday. And Logan Williams as well, also making a bit of ground back there as well, my pick to win in the 38. So, these 2 guys started in the mid-pack. They're working their way forward a bit here.
Absolutely. Miller, Amanda Miller, Logan Williams, Tucker Nelson, Joe Witkowski, they all started coming back. Same across Brampton. And like we've been saying, this is a easier version of Darlington to make moves, and some of these draws that we expect one inside the top 10 are on moves. Zachary Fitzgerald, I've been talking about a lot this year. He has had probably the best start of his Cup Series career in his final one this year, and he's keeping up with another top 10 one early on here in the Southern 500. Got passing being made all over the place. Matthew Hubert out front. Troy Bell in second, Ward and Campbell the top 4, all Chevrolets. And then you got Nick Lopez rounding out the top 5 in a Toyota. And we all see of how this race goes on. It's about 32 to 38 laps on fuel and tires, and it's gonna be about 3 to 4 seconds of fall off. So right now, almost halfway through, and it's probably about 2 seconds of fall off already, and that's Darlington. And that might be a sign of things to come. Barlow easily gets past his teammate for the race lead.
Yeah, I mean, despite that fall off that is clearly there now, and obviously being halfway through the first run of this race, and you see Duncan Watt. We saw that work late in the race with Charlie Davenport yesterday in the National Series race. He's going to go 2 for 1 to the inside here of Bartow as well and try and take the lead away. I actually just lost track of what I was about to say, so that's fun. But no, Duncan off to making a move, but you see that outside lane can't quite work. That's what I was going to say. Even though you've got the 2-second fall off, you can still make still get massive runs and surges through say 3 or 4, and you can make overtakes. You saw Bartow take the lead. You saw the run that Ward just had. So still possible to make overtakes here, which you don't always see at different versions of Darlington. I think you'd say last year, in some ways, it's a lot harder to overtake than what we have at the moment. So good battle up at the front, though. The more these guys battle, the more guys like John Andrews, though, they'll close in, because he's working his way forward. He's up to the 5th position, and the 48 and the 38 are slowly closing in as well. And
one rider we gotta mention, as we might see to rewind it. Oh my goodness, want to see exactly fits. Oh my goodness. This is something that we've not really seen a lot. It's 3 wide at this version, and that was fairly tight off turn number 4. What even I was about to say. Last week's winner, Jordan Stout. 2311 has been bad fast already this season, and looks like Jordan Stout is on the move. Carlos Miller and Alexander not quite to the great start here in the Southern 500 up to this point, but it's still a long way to go. We still have that first round of pit stops around lap 32 to 38. And we gotta see what ends up happening, but to the point, these top 200 motorsports cars, it's not been a great start to 200 motorsports outside of the point leader Jordan others, but these two, Matt Tutt is loving what he sees with Barlow and Hubert almost trading blows for the race lead, and we might see another shot being thrown here from Hubert.
Yeah, sent it on that inside in turn 4, and that's how Charlie Davenport, of course, won that race last night. So nice overtake there by Hubert. He retakes the lead. It's funny you mentioned, these guys haven't had a great year today. So, I mean, Hubert's actually the lowest of the 4 Hendrick drivers, 17th in points. Bartow's 13th in points. Andrew Miller's inside the top 10. He's 12th in points. And yet, John Edwards, who's the points leader, who's finished top 10 every week, is nowhere to be seen at the moment. So, a bit of irony there. He is in the 90s. He's not that far back, I suppose. He's 20th at the moment, but not where he would like to be. I think that's fair to say, especially with the way his teammates are currently running. But I mean, it's not to say that the Hendrick guys, even though they're 12th, 13th, and 17th points, you got Carson Miller back in here. In the 35, he's had a great year actually. 3rd in the championship. You talked about it. Crampton here, 2nd in the championship. Bryce Egan didn't get a great run last week, but he's hanging around at the moment. But even if you're like 11th through 20th, there's still so much time to turn things around and go out and win the championship. You just never know. So plenty to play out still in this season. But the other thing I've noticed here at Darlington, at this version of Darlington, is that the leaders haven't really. I mean, there's a bit of a gap. Oh, they're starting to pull away now. I was going to say they haven't really pulled away, but now the field's starting to stretch out a little bit more. So that's probably because of the tyre wear that's coming into play. We're 8-ish laps away from a pit cycle. So you'd imagine that as you see John Andrews, he's got a fast car because he's just caught up to Duncan Ward and he's going to get past, or at least try to. But we got 8 laps to go until that first round of pit stops, you'd imagine, and 3 seconds of fall off at this point, let's just say roughly. So that's probably playing a factor into it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. There's going to be 3.5 to 4 seconds of fall off, depending on how long the car is. So definitely at this point, these guys are having roughly 3 seconds of fall off, and it's definitely affecting them. But two drivers that it's not really affecting is Hubert and Barlow. They keep on doing the race lead here. Barlow's trying to close back into Hubert, but you mentioned a lot of these drivers outside the top 10 right now. Like Logan Williams, like Duncan Alvson has had a good year so far. Joe Witkowski has apparently just gotten to the outside wall off turn 2 there of Jordan Edwards, Crampton, Egan, Carson Miller. A lot of these drivers that we've seen a lot earlier in the season, like White even, they're all inside the top 20 and not inside the top 10. So still early on, still not even gone to the first pit stop, but a lot of drivers that we expect to run up front straight are running about mid-pack early on.
Yeah, definitely. That's the way it goes sometimes. Some of these drivers that have had good starts to the year, they come to a track like this that's so unique, and it throws a bit of a curveball around. In the races very differently to what you see on a Las Vegas last week, for example. So can throw a bit of a curveball there. You see Hernandez on the inside, York Watson, the Daytona 500 winner, driving the car that I used to drive, of course, the almighty 47. Hasn't had a great run since the 500, but it's doing a good job here at the moment. A decent enough job inside the top 20 at the moment. How about Bucky Campbell here in the 10? While the 524 clearly the fast 2 at the moment, the more they battle for 4th, as you see Bartow gets to the inside, he's going to have to back out of it there. Maybe went a little bit too low there, diving into 1. But Campbell's joined these guys while the others are battling for 4th on back. So really promising showing for the 10 so far.
Absolutely. Egan's gone several top 5s so far this season. Meanwhile, Bucky Campbell has been a little bit quiet. A lot of top 15 ones. But this is by far the best one so far from Bucky Campbell in this number 10. And now Bucky is going to try and get to the inside bottle, but with the fall off at this point, the inside lane in turn 1, it is possible on fresh tires, but on basically 4 seconds fall off now, that inside lane is pretty much gone at this point, and you gotta make all the passes here in 3 and 4, and that might be what Bucky does. Great one for Bucky Campbell here as we are approaching pit stops, but Barlow's gonna get a good one. It's gonna be hard to pass that 24 car because he's definitely one of the quicker cars here tonight along with Hubert. But we gotta see how it all goes down. Right before pit stops, Anders in 4th, Duncan Wood in 5th. Andrew Miller, like you said, he is up flying here on the long one, sniffing a top 5 almost in the 7th position. And then Mario Garcia and Nick Lopez still inside the top 10, and it took him about 30 laps, but Logan Williams is finally inside of the top 10. Approaching pit stops, and we gotta see of how the undercut and overcut works, because normally I would say the undercut works, but here at Darlington with the 4 seconds of fall off to it, I almost want to go with the overcut and have several lap advantage on those tires.
I mean, I can understand that sentiment, but here comes Hubert now in the 5. I was just about to say, I would rather do the undercut. Even if you come down like 1 lap before everyone else, that's a massive difference. So,
no.
Is that a yellow?
That is, run the caution.
Yeah, oh boy.
And it's for Warren Kennington in the back. Oh
Man.
boy, that is something I was not expecting here tonight, Stuart. A caution right when Matthew Hubert was about to go down pit lane.
Yeah, well, we went caution free last night. I think Hubert, will be okay. He might get away with this. Even though he came down a lap before everyone else, and it's an awkward time for a yellow, I think he's gonna be fine. Because he's gonna get serviced. He should stay on the lead lap. If he were to fall a lap down, that's where there's a bit of a problem. If he can't get out before this pace car, that's where there's a problem. But everyone will pit, except for the 88 apparently, Eric Monaco. But everyone other than the 88, I suppose, is going to pit. And you take 4 tires at this point. Yeah, Hubert got out. But you take 4 tires at this point, given the fall off. And then it's basically the status quo. I mean, everyone's on the same wavelength. Even the 5 and everybody. So we'll see here. Got to nail your pit stop. Can't make a mistake here if you're especially up at the front of the field.
Absolutely. Would imagine 4 tires for everyone. Don't know why Monaco is staying out. Maybe just trying to get a bonus point for leading lap. I'm not entirely sure. We gotta see if he goes back around next time by. 4 tires for Barlow here. 2 on the right. And 2 on the left, gonna be 4 tires for everyone, I would assume. With this being Darlington, it's one of those places where if you don't take 4 tires, it's almost a death sentence. And Barlow will run the race off. How about John Anders gonna be in 2nd, Andrew Miller in 3rd, Duncan Wood and Bucky Campbell in 5th, Jordan Stout, Logan Williams with a good stop. Joe Rutkowski's gonna be inside the top 10 almost. Hallison, Fitzwater, Bright, Egan, and Crampton, and a fairly clean pit stop it looks like on pit lane. And we see, I think Hubert is gonna get lucky. I think he's gonna be the race leader, but he's gonna have 1 lap older tires than everyone else, and that could be very interesting of how that shakes out. And we gotta see what Eric Monaco does, because he's still out there in that number 88. Let's go ahead and see what happens to bring out the first caution of the night in the Denny Southern 500 at the Darlington Raceway. Here we go, right before pit stops, the Daytona 500 champion of Emily York Watson got into the outside wall with a Darlington stripe, and unfortunately, Watson went down, Kennington went up, and that sent both the 19 and the 77 Nico Samadillo around. And for Kennington, he's going to hit hard into the inside wall. For Samadillo, he's going to do a nice 360 spin, but that's going to be 2 big-time implications with the in-season challenge. Samadillo's going to keep on going with a spin, but for Kennington, we gotta see what he can do with some right side damage now here in the early part of the Southern 500.
Well, the classic Darlington stripe for Emily York Watson, and as she rebounds back down into Kennington and comes back down into Samadillo, had nowhere to go. Luckily, keeps it out of the wall. Same cannot be said for Ronald Kennington. And the 19 ends up in the inside wall. So a lot of damage, unfortunately, on the right side of the Joe Gibbs Toyota.
Yeah, very unfortunate. Unfortunately, it's not as big as we initially thought with the slow-mo, but we gotta see if he can maintain that damage for the rest of this one. It will be Trey Barlow as the race leader, and let's go ahead and get to the restart here in the Southern 500. Welcome back to Darlington Raceway after the first caution of the night and the weekend. As Stuart said, we went caution-free in the National Series race last night, and I was expecting the same, but surprisingly, that was not the case with Ronald Pennington off for turn number 2. Matthew Hooper is going to be on one lap older tires from third on back to a Barlow and John Amos, but we got an interesting predicament. If Monaco did not pit at all, he is on 34 at the line, 35 lap bow tires, and that's basically the tire life, or the tire life is 32 to 38 laps. So I think that's not going to be the right call for Monaco. This could be a little bit messy on the restart, but nevertheless, he's going to get a bonus point for leading a couple laps here. And it will be Monaco, Hubert, Barlow, Andrews, Miller, Wood, Campbell, Stout, Williams, and Nick Lopez, the top 10. No one is out. Juan Pennington didn't hit the wall too hard, so he's going to be out there still on the lead lap. And here he goes to it already. You can tell old tires versus new tires. This is not going to work out for Monaco here.
Yeah, I don't know why he wouldn't have just come in, just followed everyone else down. I know you get a bonus point for leading laps, and I know that, actually, you look at the guy in second, Hubert, he actually did an alternate strategy in my series at Pocono. It nearly worked for him. Monaco's going to... I don't know what his plan is. To be honest, I don't know why you wouldn't just pit under the yellow with the rest of the field. I can't fathom that. That's mind-bogglingly bad strategy, I think, by the 88, but... Anyway, the field sorted itself back out. So Hubert ended up back in the lead after all that. So you've got Campbell on the inside of Ward in the battle for the top 5 at the moment. You've got Stout, you've got the 38 of Williams, and you've got to strike while the iron's hot. In that, you've got the fresh tyres now. This is the best time, even though you can still make overtakes late in the run. This is the best time to make your way forward. And Williams is going to pounce here on Jordan Stout. He may have a crack here at the 10, maybe. It's not quite. Stout's going to fight it back on the outside. Williams, I think Stout now on that outside, he's able to hold it out of turn 4, and he might hold on to the position.
Great one for turn 2 for Jordan Stout, and like you said, these tires, you can't make passes on the long one, but this is where you gotta make it bounce as quickly as possible, and that's what John Anderson might do. We're talking about, Barlow is on one lap fresher tires along with everyone else over Hubert, but John Anderson, he's had a terrible season up to this point. Not quite as bad as Juan Garcia, but he's trying to take advantage of be like, hey, everyone else is in season challenge. Don't forget about me. I'm here to continue my season and maybe get up there in the point standing. It's still a long way to go in the regular season. And here we go. This might be the one lap older tires for Matthew Hubert. Maybe slowing him down a little bit here. Barlow and Hubert side by side. They are pulling away from everyone else. You got John Andrews and Aim the Miller and Duncan Wood battling for the rest of the top 5.
But is he going to be able to clear? He cannot, and Hubert's going to get that run on the outside. I don't think the one. I know he came in a lap earlier, but the thing is, of course, the caution came out. So it's not like he was driving really hard. He was driving under the the caution speed like everyone else. So I don't think that's making a massive difference, albeit. Barto gets past him there. He takes the lead once again. And these two have had a great ding-dong battle. They've been going side by side basically the whole race, those two, the 24 and the 5. And, they're doing a very nice job. You see Duncan Ward, he can't quite get clear. He hit the, kind of hit the flat out of turn 2. He's going to lose a bit of time, and he's going to get it back to the inside of Miller. I thought Miller might have been able to clear, couldn't quite, and he has to really get out of the gas there. And you see now Ward going to the inside of Andrews. You've got Williams on the inside of Andrew Miller, and looks like we'll see if they, again, it's so hard to make an overtake into 1 and 2 because out of 2 there's much more grip up top, and we saw cars hitting the flat there like Ward before. Andrew's going to be able to clear. And you just had the camera panned a little bit there on those two legacy cars, the 43, the 42. I don't know where Bright came from, but Rutkowski, you know, kind of hung around that kind of area with Williams and co, so he's making his way forward. But Bright was a lot further back from memory. So he's done a nice job here in the 42, working his way just outside the, well, I think he's just inside the top 10 now.
Yeah, double top 10 now for Lexington World Club. So, out of nowhere, Rutkowski's been inside the top 12 all night, but Bright on the move. And another driver on the move, that's Travis Crampton. He started deep in the field, mid-pack, along with Bright and some others. He is on the move. Alexander Rowe is on the move. We've not seen him all night up to this point. Halverson's a little bit up, and same with Burnett. Where did Burnett come from? He's running inside the top 16 now. And I don't remember if we talked about this on the pre-show, but with this being so long of a race to it, we're going to see comers and goers in this race, and we are definitely seeing that here so far. But regardless of that, it's been these two, 1-2 most of the night, and 101 from Hubert. We saw that in the national race, and side by side for the lead. Again, another lead change between these Hendon Motorsports teammates, as we are battling with another Hendon Motorsports car, Miller and Duncan Ward.
Oh, I mean, you talk about, you know, comers and goes and everything. Well, you got the three of the four Hendrick cars first, second, and, you know, the other one's battling for third, just got clear for third. So, you know, outside Jordan Edwards, they've done a pretty good job here tonight. But Ward's fighting it back. He's fighting the good fight there in the 8. Look at this. I mean, this is a mess back in here. You know, lots of cars in a very small span of the track, I suppose. You've got Williams, Stout, Andrews is now starting to drop back a little bit. You got Bright on the move, Crampton on the move. You know, Campbell's dropped back. He got a slow stop, it should be said as well, because he was third at the time of the yellow. So disappointing for the 10, but you know, still doing a serviceable job, pretty close there to Andrews. And three wide. You got to be careful. Whoa, that's close. That was proper contact there between Andrews, Campbell, and Crampton. Crampton backs out of it because otherwise he would have was out of control. So luckily, no harm, no foul. But yeah, the 34's dropping back in this run. That car just does not have the speed.
Yeah, he definitely had the long one set up at the first one, but it's definitely fallen off here as some of these drivers, like Crampton, like Alexander, like Bright, are on the move. That was very, very close. A veteran move from Andrews and Crampton, a 6-season veteran for Andrews, 7-season veteran for Crampton. But I believe we are side by side again, and we are. These two just keep on battling all night long. It's hard to go through the field with these two, but Hubert and Barlow are loving of what they see for now. But look at who's closing in. Duncan Wood has gone past Amanda Miller once again, and Duncan is closing on the top 2. So all night long we're talking about Barlow and Hubert, but we cannot count Duncan Wood, who's trying to get some revenge. He probably had a race winning capable car at Phoenix until he blew up on lap 7. So he's trying to get some revenge here just 2 races early, and he's someone where everyone in the top 5 has won in the Cup Series before, but Duncan has not. So he's trying to get that first win here tonight.
Yeah, he's doing a very nice job. We haven't seen any of Rockall Dawn, by the way, in this race. So, you know, it's just kind of dawned on me that we haven't seen any of the 3 in this race at all. But, you know, so he's really struggling. But I did see this guy before, because, you know, Alexander Rowe, he won that truck race. I think we talked about it before, you know, sort of, I think we talked about it last night, maybe. But, you know, he was my pick to win last night. But, you know, he won that truck race, and see, the 34 gets a massive run. He won the truck race here, so he's more than capable in that 45 of winning a race like this. And so now you got 2 23-11 cars inside the 10. You got, you know, these guys have had a good battle. Stout and Williams have swapped position a couple of times, and these guys have certainly had a very good battle. Parzo and Hubert going side by side for the lead again. But the more they battle, the more the 8 of Duncan Ward closes right in. So that's what he wants to. He wants to keep seeing these guys go side by side. As now Hubert has another look to the inside. These guys get shot out of a cannon. Like, they get a lot of speed through turn 4, and then they carry that momentum down the front.
Absolutely, and sometimes they can carry that in turn 1 and make the pass, and that's exactly what he was going to do there. But Barlow is I think pretty much the same speed as you, but these two are just dominating. But the more they battle, the more this 8 closes in. And I honestly think the 8 of Duncan Wood is faster on the long one than both of these drivers, because he passed Miller and he's pulled away from Miller. So Duncan might be one of the fastest long one cars at the moment here tonight. Here in the second one of the Southern 500. Miller and Stout the top 5. Local rooms, Eli Bright, Travis Clampton in 8th. Addison Rowe in 9th. And then Bucky Campo running out the top 10. How about Aaron Abel? We've not spoke of Aaron Abel all night so far. Now he has cracked inside the top 15. So love these comes and goes. Same with Burnett as we're under caution for the second time tonight. And it's for BB Ruiz. And I'm getting word he blew a motor from the tower. He blew a motor.
Oh boy. Well, that's well, this is an awkward time because you mentioned. I mean, it's a 32 to 38 lap run. We are coming to 38 to go this time, so that's going to get pretty tight on fuel, you'd imagine. So that's a tough break for the two, and everybody's going to come in now, as you'd expect. So, one coming to the, coming to get 4 tires and everything, get themselves. These guys are staying out because the pace car hasn't caught up to them.
Oh,
that's what's happened. So these guys are staying out because the pace car hadn't caught them, and so it caught Jordan Stout, and now Stout's going to come in and he's going to be the big beneficiary because he's effectively the leader with this.
Oh my goodness, that's terrible for really the fastest 4 cars of the night. Barlow, Hubert, Miller, and Duncan Wood. But now this is going to open up everything, and Jordan Stout trying to get his second win in a row. It's going to be the first run down pit lane, and I would imagine once again it would be 4 tires for everyone here. It looks like that is going to be the case. We got to see if who ends up winning the race off of pit lane. As there goes the 47 and the 20 just now in the pit box. And it will be last week's winner, Jordan Stout. And then barely Bright and Logan Williams. Clampton, Lowe. And this is going to change everything. One of the slight perks about this is that you gotta commit down basically halfway down the back stretch here at this version of Darlington. And the way the pace car caught him, that was not the right time for the 5:24, 8 and 48, and they are going to be in the back of the field for some of the fastest cars here tonight.
Yeah, that's a really bad break for all 4 of these guys. We know Monaco had that alternate strategy there, so that's really bad news for them. That's really bad luck. They're going to go to the back of the field despite how fast they are, and that probably takes them out of contention for the win, unless I guess we get more yellows potentially, and crazy things happen. But hey, Jordan Stout's not going to complain. He's going to take the lead. He won last week. He got 2 in a row, and I'll keep an eye on the 42 behind him though, because Eli Bright looked very, very fast on the last run. So keep an eye on that car, that 42. I think he's in with a really good chance.
Absolutely, it's been a much better start this year for Legacy Motor for one of the 2 cars. Bright especially here so far, and we gotta see if the door has been open for Jordan Stout to possibly go 2 in a row here this season. We've not had a repeat winner yet. Let's see what ends up happening on the restart, but first, let's see what happened. So a blown motor for the number 2 of BP Ruiz to bring out the second caution of the night in the Denny Southern 500. Here we go, this is what happened to bring out the second caution of the night, and unfortunately it will be a end-season challenge over for BP Ruiz as he blew a motor right at the start-finish line, tried getting out of the way, and unfortunately Kenneth Miller was in the spotter. He tried getting out of the way for BB, and he gets turned down the front stretch, and he's going to slide up the racetrack, and luckily this was at the tail end of the field, because if this wasn't, BB Ruiz, when he stood back up here, that would have been a huge hit for several drivers, but luckily he doesn't even hit the wall, so the car's fine for the most part, but the motor is done. tough break for PB, already running in the back part of the field here tonight. And gonna end with a blown motor here at Darlington Raceway.
So PB Ruiz engine goes kaboom right there. And trying to get out of the way, unfortunately, comes straight down into Kenneth Miller and up the racetrack and just barely nudges the wall, but obviously the damage done with that engine failure. It's a tough break for the two, and really dramatically it changes the way this race is, because unfortunately for these guys at the front, they get, unfortunately, the pace car does not catch up to them, and they had to come down a lap later than everybody else. So that completely changes the order around here in this Southern 500.
Absolutely. Some of the fastest cars of the night, like Hubert, Barlow, and Wood, are all going to be in the back, same with Andy Miller, but we will see if what these four can do. It will be Jordan Stout now out front in the number 23 machine. So let's go ahead and see of how this one shakes out in the third part of the Southern 500. Alright, the table has been flipped here in the Denny Southern 500. Our second caution of the night, and this is huge. BP Ruiz obviously is going to be done for the night now in the number 2. He blew up, and Eric Margo is one lap down still. But Duncan Wood, Troy Barlow, Matthew Hubert, and Andrew Miller all got caught after the pace car, and it will be a new running order as Logan Williams, John Andrews just had a mechanical issue, and so has Andrew Miller. He also blew up under this caution.
Yeah. Well, I mean that's just adding insult to injury for both. Look at the 48. Yeah, that's done. Day done for Andrew Miller. That's just salt to the wound for those two guys. Andrews was he's a long way down the championship. Needed a good result. He's probably not going to get it now. And Miller was up in the top 5 until that incident with the pace car. But here we go, coming back to the green.
Tough way for Anders, not sure what happened to him, but honestly, what happened to the 48, blew a motor under the caution period, and now it's Stout, Blight, Williams, Crampton roll the top 5. We don't know if these guys can make it on fuel. They might, but on tires, that's going to be the big thing here late in this one. It's basically another tire and fuel one, so we gotta see what happens at the end. But Blight does not care about that right now. He is going for the race lead. To the inside of last week's winner, Jordan Stout. He's gonna get up there on the outside. And how about Crampton? I said at Atlanta a couple of weeks ago, at least 2, where he broke a 6.5-year winner streak. I figured that would not be his last win on the year, depending on how good this team has been, and this might be one of the fastest cars of the day, as he made that pass on the outside lane in turn 2, and he's gonna challenge for Jordan Stout for the race lead here possibly. Crampton is flying in the number 60. You got both Leximo Club cars now 3rd and 4th. Whoa, and 5th. All of a sudden, Toyota has surrounded the top 5. Locomotives and Abel, Bucky Campbell, Matthew Burnett, and Zachary Fitzwater rounds out the top 10. And then Hal Anderson Jr., Duncan Alson, and John Andrews just outside the top 10.
Talked about comers and goers. Well, there's certain circumstances getting to this point, but as you see Crampton going for the lead here, he's underneath the Stout.
Oh no!
Oh no! What happened?
He just had a tire go down.
Oh no! You are kidding.
And that's
Crampton, so he made the move. So Crampton gets down the inside of there, has a tyre go down, and getting off into turn 1, and that hurt Eli Bright. Look how much time Bright lost as a result. He got stuck behind. So what a shame for Crampton. That car was really fast. And what a shame for Bright now, but at least he's still got a chance. What a shame for the 60.
And that's one thing that does happen at Darlington. Mechanical failures. The 34 John Andrews has some kind of mechanical failure. The 48 blew up. And Crampton just had a tire failure. We went all night long without having any mechanical failures. We had a couple of wets and obviously BP Ruiz blew up. But other than that, it's been fine. And now, all of a sudden, it might be a 23-11-1-2 the best team in the series early in the season, and we've not seen them all night long until now. Jordan Stout out for Alexander, trying to get second on Joe Rakowski. But, that really opened up the door. Crampton was up here, but now we have a new RFK car up here, and that's Matthew Burnett, another driver that has not won, he has won, I believe, in the Cup Series, but it's been a long time. But, Whoa, gonna make a 1-2 and make it easy for that pass, and I'm amazed. It's not been a standout type of night for 2311 as Rakowski's gonna get by on the outside, but they got 2 of the cars now inside of the top 3.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's, again, circumstances come into play there, but, I mean, this is a really, and, we haven't seen 35 up front, but he's already won, this year as well, so that's a very promising start to the year for 2311, and now Rowe gets up to second. Of course, I picked him last night. It would be fitting that he goes on and wins tonight instead. Sounds about right, but he's second, but he's got a lot of work to do because he's over 2 seconds back off the 23. How about Aaron Abel there, the 11? You just had the camera on him. He was by far and away the worst of the 3 Joe Gibbs cars in terms of qualifying. Well, he's 6th at the moment, doing a pretty good job of things. You got Rakowski back on the inside trying to make that pass on the 45 once again, and he gets it done. So nice pass there by Rakowski, but the more they battle, Rowe's going to fight it back. I thought Rakowski didn't close the door, and Rowe took advantage of it. But the more they battle, the more that Jordan Stout pulls away, and 23 looking pretty good here, as you see Burnett with a big lunge on the inside, and he gets around the 11 of Abel.
Absolutely, and the more, these guys battle, the more that it's going to hurt them on the long one, and it has really hurt them. It went from 2 seconds to 3 seconds just within the last couple of laps, and that's going to be huge for the rest of this race. Burnett, he's up to the 4th position now in that number 6 machine, and then Logan Williams ain't able to sacrifice for some of that we keep on saying he's having the best start to his Cup Series career here. And he's on the move, and same with Duncan Allison. He's someone that's been under the radar this year. He's up there, top 5 in the point standings, and he's shockingly been the best front row car. Now he's on the move. Got Blake, Bucky Campo, still within the top 10. Sustry, I don't know. We've not seen Sustry all night long, and now the other 2 RFK cars are up here. And then you got Edwards, who's been keeping it mostly clean inside the top 12. But the same deal come for him. He's inside the top 13. We've not seen Sam Dia all night long, and it is a hornet's nest from 2nd through 13th basically, or 3rd through 13th. But fantastic stuff used to it, but a lot of unknowns if these guys can even make it on tires.
One thing we totally forgot about is just I looked at Sustray, that bright green banner, the in-season tournament, and I just reminded myself that the 45 and the 43 of Rowe and Rakowski are battling for the in-season tournament. Only one of those 2 can advance. So maybe that was playing into the mind of both those guys in that battle. But Rakowski dropping back. How about Halverston, the 4? He's worked his way through very well here in the front row car. He's doing a nice job up to 3rd. But you can see that gap, from 1st to 2nd is 2.5 seconds. Rowe's cut into that about half a second. But across the last few laps, but still got a lot of work to do. You got Bright back there, the 42. He is able once again battling Burnett for position. Burnett's got the outside. I think he will probably hold on to this position, and he will as you see the tires are starting to wear out a bit now. Abel can't really send it in there into turn 1 as the way he would have liked normally. And then you got a bit of a hornet's nest back in here. Jordan Edwards is almost in a 3 wide situation. That's not ideal. John Andrews in the 34 is a lap down, isn't he? I think he is.
Yes.
Yes, he is. So that's a shame for John because pretty good run going up to that point. Logan Williams is struggling here in this run as well. 38. He's dropped outside the top 10. So not sure what's wrong with that car, but it's not anywhere near as fast as I thought it would be at this stage in the run.
Yeah, not as well as I thought. Outside the top 10, like you said. And unfortunately, we're running out of time. This is probably the last one unless these guys have to pit late. So what you got is what you got at this point. And just Oh my goodness, that was close. Another
Yeah.
on the move. Colton Miller's inside the top 15 after not seeing him all night long. Jordan Ellis is in the top 10 for the first time. Sussfly's in the top 10. Love of what we are seeing for all these colors and goers to it. And we got a little bit of a battle here, along with Will and Wachowski earlier. We got another in-season challenge that's only separated by one position on the racetrack, and Abel and Bucket Campbell are battling for a spot into the next round. Of course, you guys have seen that all night long, where they are each lap, and that's going to be interesting, especially as these races go on, with Marlins for next week, and then I believe Auto Club, Kansas as the finale. And I think I'm forgetting one, but it's definitely going to be a lot of fun, and it's going to be a lot of fun for Jordan Stout. Won last week at Las Vegas, and he was pulling away, but now his teammate Valentino is trying to chip it in, and he's really chipping it in now, down to less than 2 seconds, and, you know, Cosimo won at Little Springs. Jordan Stout won at Las Vegas last week, and if Valentino wins, that would be, I believe, 3 in the last 4 races for 23-11, but we gotta watch out for Halverson though too. He's flying on the long one, same with Burnett.
Yeah, I mean, the 4 looks pretty quick. You got Burnett that's gotten clear of Rutkowski, so you know these guys are very fast. Rowe, let's see what the margin. He gained another 2/10 that lap on the 23. So the 23, I'm not sure if you know what the reason is, but he just doesn't quite have the speed at the moment that certainly the 45 has, because he was about 3 seconds back. He's almost chopped that in half. You know, let's say about 10 laps. So the 45 is certainly very quick. Alverson's quick. You know, Burnett. Rutkowski and Bright, they've ended up back together again. It's funny, isn't it, with Jordan Edwards here in the, you know, going for the 7th position. I talked about, you know, he's the only Hendrick car that's not been up front. And now with the way that caution played out of the pace car, not catching the leaders, he's ended up the highest of the 4 Hendrick cars. So a bit of irony in the way that one works. So I'm not sure, how far back are the Hendrick guys? You know, Bartow and Hubert, they're a long, I still looks like they're, you know, I haven't seen them. There they are. Well, there's Hubert at least. He's 17
last time.
Yeah, so that, he'll be frustrated with that, because that was a car that was capable of winning. Same with Bartow as well. He's a bit further back. There'll be a lot of frustration. Same with Ward as well. The agony continues for him, I suppose, in the 8. And you know, it's funny, isn't it? You know, you got the 2 Duncans going hand to head the in-season tournament. I think, you know, if it's said early on the race, which Duncan would you take? You would have taken Duncan Ward, but Halverson's done a nice job. And hello, that much is now getting close to a second. If you're Jordan Stout, I would be a little bit worried, because the 45 is closing in.
Absolutely closing in really fast, and he's not the only one. Woe is dragging the 4, the 6, the 42, the 43 with him. So we could see a 6-car battle for the race win here, assuming that these guys don't have to pit again. It's going to be really tight on tires and fuel. But this in-season challenge has been really fun. We've not had to really worry about that here tonight, but it's been a little bit of Roland Wachowski, a little bit of April and Campbell. And another one is that Barlow was in ahead of Sussfly all night long. Now Sussfly is. Same with Dio and Hubert. It was Hubert all night. Now same with Dio is inside the top 10 ahead of him. So this is going to be very fun as we get through the rest of the in-season challenge. But we're coming to 13 laps to go, and we have a battle for the race win here to it. Alexander is trying to get the 3rd win for 23-11 Racing already this season, and he's trying to get it and be where all 3 drivers from that team have a win already.
Well, that would be very impressive, but he just gained 0.3 of a second once again on Stout, so he's reeling him in at a rate of knots. And, you know, we've got, you know, let's say 11 to go this time. There's plenty of time for Alexander Rowe to make this move and get this win. You know, he's got a lot of speed. Look at Burnett go in the 6. You know, Crampton had that issue with the tyre, but the 6 now has picked up where where Crampton left off. He's now up to 3rd. He may have a shot at this. You never know. But I think with Rowe, he just lost about 1/10 that last time, but he's certainly got the whiff of the 23 in front. You know, he's got the draft that he can now work off of, and I think that's going to help that 45. But, I mean, with the way Burnett's going, he may have a shot at this as well. So it's going to be good with 10 laps to go.
Absolutely. 10 laps to go in the Southern 500 at a brand new version, and it has delivered. So far, 2 cautions, a couple mechanical failures, and we have a battle with 2 of the best cars of the season on the same team. Jordan Stout and Alexander Roll with this version last year won the Power Truck race here. He was strong last night out of nowhere in the National Series race. He's strong out of nowhere late in the Cup Series race. He might like this version of Darlington Stewart, and Alexander closing in fast. He cut it down almost in half last time by.
Yeah, I mean, he closed in basically half that last time, so he's there, and Stout would know that. And it's I just don't know. I mean, we saw what Davenport was able to do. He made that move right on the last turn. So, you know, even if you go off into turn 3, there's nothing guaranteed here in this race. So, you know, Rowe's got a fast car. Burnett, you know, it looks like he's closed in on this lap. You know, Halverson's still there. Rakowski got back ahead of Bright. And they've decided to drop off just a little bit, those 2 legacy cars. I don't know if they've got a shot, but certainly it feels like anyone within the top 4 now. Burnett's within a second of the 23, so you know, anyone really, I feel like at least in the top 4 has a chance of winning this race. But look at Bro, he is so close. He may make a move, Nathan, into turn 4.
Oh, and
he does.
Side by side, whoa, he won some redemption from last night. Ran top 5, top 7 in the National Series race, and to the point for Alexander. These 2 battled for the race win about a week ago at Las Vegas, and they are battling for the race win once again here in one of the crown jewels of the season. But Stout's not going to be done. He's going to want that race lead right back from his teammate. But will he make a move here in 3 and 4? He's going to try and make it side by side once again between Rowe and Stout.
Well, the more they battle, the more that invites Burnett and Halversson and these guys behind to close in as well. But side by side, Stout just did what Rowe just did to him the previous lap. But we'll see. Rowe's got that outside, and that's where a lot of the grip is in turn 2. It's not. I mean, it's not as much like, you know, more grip up top. You know, lots of grip up top as there is like a lot of grip on the bottom. So Rowe clears. Oh, here we go. They are going to have to pit, Nathan. I was worried about it. I thought, are they going to be able to make it? 38 to go? Nope. Jordan Stout's going to pit from second. So it's just imagine it'll be just a gas and go here. But we'll see. You got to nail this stop.
It's got to nail it. It's not fully sure if we were going to see it or not, but they have to pit. They cannot make it on tires here late in the Southern 500. Let's see what Stout does. You would think it would be gas and go, but with how bad the tires are here, he's going to take 2 tires. I like that call from the 23 machine. Got the 19 and the 99 in as well. And now here we go. Rowe is in. Burnett, Rakowski, same with Dio. All in, this time by a lap later. I would imagine it would be 2 tires again. But we gotta see if what Rowe does here. Oh.
He's got no tires. It's fuel only. Fuel only. So that's interesting because, you know, we saw Stout take 2 tires. So will that help the 23? Oh, that's not good for Burnett because he was right up there. He's going to lose a lot of time as a result. That's a bad break, and Anderson stalled the car. That's a terrible break for the 21. That's going to cost her a lot of ground. You imagine a lot of the leaders coming in now. You've got, there's Stout, the 23. There's Halversson, the 4. He was the effective race leader. So I imagine he'll take fuel only as well, given the 45 just took fuel only. Be surprised if he took tyres. So we'll see here with Halversson. You got Edwards there. You got Campbell. You got the 38. The 42 looks like done. Fuel only for Halversson. Let's see where he comes out relative to the 45, because that's who I think he'll be battling, unless Stout got to him already, which I'd be surprised. I'm not quite sure. Let's see where okay, it is the 45. Let's see where he comes out in relation to where Halversson comes out in relation to Rowe.
Right now, through turn 2, this Halversson just exiting turn 2.
He's miles ahead.
So that's surprising. He had to take less fuel. That's probably what it is. Had to take less fuel than some of these others, and now Duncan Halversson is in position to steal the Southern 500 win and get his first JBL Cup Series win.
Yeah, 2 laps to go. That's a fantastic stop. I don't know if he took less fuel or not, but either way, that's a great stop. And how about Bryce as well, the 42? He's ended up second at the end of all this, so even with the issue with Crampton, see Stout there, he's in fourth at the moment. He's got those fresh tyres, but that's not gonna. It's obviously not going to work out for him because he's far too back. It's way too far back from Halverston. So look who's inside the top 10. Crampton somehow 8th in all of this. But white flag here for Duncan Halverston. And correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think Front Row's won this year.
I don't think so either. Great job from Crampton, getting a top 10 it looks like. And at the top of the show I was wondering, will the streak continue? We've had 5 different winners so far this season. Well, it's going to happen again. Duncan Halverston's going to get the first win for Front Row Motorsports here this season. And we will have our 6th different race winner in the season. Duncan Halverston, you're going to get the first career JBL Cup Series win and one of the biggest wins you can possibly get. The winner of the Denny Southern 500 is Duncan Halverston.
How about that? Well done to Duncan Halverston. That's a great drive and a great stop by Front Row to get him out into that position. Whether he took less fuel or not than, say, Rowe, he did a great job. I tell you what, Jordan Stout, if he had 2 more laps, he would have got to the 4. But in the end, didn't quite pay off. He ended up 3rd. Bright did a good job to get to 2nd. I think all things considered is a nice effort. But I know they had 2 cars in the top 5, but you just, I think if you're 23-11, you maybe just let one slip away there a little bit. But fair play to Duncan Halverston, fair play to Front Row. And I'm not surprised because these guys know what they're doing. I can guarantee you that.
Absolutely. A job well done from Duncan Halverston. Getting his first career JBL Cup Series win. Always cool to see that here. There's a lot of drivers this year that, as the fan of the series, I've loved to break through and get the first win. And we just saw one with Duncan Halverston here tonight. Great job from Dwight. And his teammate Joe Wachowski getting inside the top 5. Great job from 2 of the 23-11 cars getting the top 5 one as well. April in 6th. Burnett in 7th. Crampton had that tire issue. We thought that was not done. But he, I think, was able to not pit again after that. And he steals the top 10 still with everyone pitting. Jordan Edwards, he continued his top 10 streak with 6 in a row. And then Olive K gets all 3 cars inside the top 10 late with 6 right in the top 10. What a job well done from everyone up there in the top 10, Stuart. And what a fun night of action here at the Southern 500. And looking at the results now on the screen, it's definitely interesting throughout the rest of this season of how it all goes down. But what's the final thoughts here with a crazy Southern 500?
Yeah, I mean, that was, I picked the wrong Front Row car. I was that close. I picked the right team. I'll give myself that. But no, look, fair play to Duncan Halverston in Front Row. That's a great performance. And yeah, very weird race. I mean, in that the cautions came out at very inopportune times. I mean, the first one came out right as the pit cycle began. That didn't have too much of an effect, but you had the whole Eric Monaco thing, which was really weird. The second one was far more impactful in terms of who ended up where, with what happened to BB Ruiz, unfortunately, with that engine failure. But yeah, I mean, it was a great race, and I mean, you're going to keep an eye on this 4 car because he's going to be one to watch throughout the season. Coming into this, he's already 4th in points coming into this race. He'll be moving his way up in the championship for sure.
Absolutely, a great underrated season up to this point for Duncan Halverston, but that's not a underrated when he was up front late in this race. He kept on getting faster and faster as the night went on, and a job well done from that number 4 machine. And then, of course, we already went through the top 10. Nicholas Samadillo going to get 11th, Local Dorn, and 12th, Bucky Campbell, 13th, Carlos Miller, 14th, Zachary Fitzwater, another top 15. I feel like that's just been his way to go so far this season. A lot of top 15 ones. Unfortunate night for Trey Bottle, unfortunately, with that whole caution sequence. He is going to finish in 16th. Local wins in 17th, Matthew Hubert in 18th. Kennington and Hernandez rounds out the top 20 here tonight. And of course, Miller, he had a gearbox issue. BP Ruiz blew up and got involved in a crash. And Monaco had that alternate strategy that didn't work out for him. We saw what happened with Howley Anderson Jr. and Matthew Burnett. That cost Burnett a couple spots, and that cost Howley Anderson Jr. to finish 34th. And then John Anderson had a mechanical issue of some sort. A lot of mechanical issues here tonight, but here's the bread and butter that we will be talking about for the next 5 weeks. Here on the screen is the round 1 results of the end season tournament. Some surprises here, some not. Jordan Edwards is going to move on over BB Ruiz after he had a mechanical issue. Nicholas Samadillo is going to knock out the defending champion of Matthew Hubert, who was up front all night long. White is going to knock out Brad Areen. Stout is going to knock out Monaco. April is going to barely knock out Bucky Campbell, who was strong all night. Here's a shocker. The 21 seed Nick Lopez is going to knock out Andrew Miller with that gearbox issue. Carlos Sustra is going to knock out Troy Barlow. The battle of the Duncans was won by Duncan Halston as the race winner, and he knocked out Duncan Ward. And then on the opposite side of the bracket, the Miller and Miller, Carson Miller knocked out Kenneth Miller. Matthew Burnett knocks out Emily York Watson. Alexander Rose is going to knock out Joe Wachowski. Those two are up front battling all night long. Logan Williams is going to knock out Ronald Pennington. Weiss Egan will knock out Joshua Neely's battle of 2 rookies. Local Dawn didn't have a good night tonight, but with Howley's falling on pit lane, Local Dawn will move on. The battle of Spire teammate Zachary Fitzwater is going to knock out Anthony Hernandez. And then Travis Crampton, we thought this was going to ruin his night, but it didn't. Somehow he still gets the top 10, and he will knock out Bruno Giacomo in the end season tournament. And you will see the round 2 matchups, some interesting matchups there, but a very fun Southern 500 with a brand new version here at Darlington. And based off of what we saw in the National Series and Cup Series, we might keep putting this back for next year because this was a lot of fun. 32 knocked down to 16 in the in-season tournament, and we have 6 different winners in the first 6 races. We have to see what happens next week for the Smithfield 500 for some short track racing in the JBL Cup Series. Thanks for Stuart for joining me up here in the booth for an amazing Denny Southern 500, and we will see you guys next week for some Martinsville short track racing in the JBL Cup Series.